Great foundation for a relationship. Officer Taylor Corba had two problems. The first was lack of sleep, because he couldn't stop looking for information about the tall, dark-haired badass Jessica Banks. When he punched her name into his car's laptop, he'd expected to find a list of arrests for petty larceny, forgery, and shoplifting, like her date, Rusty, a.k.a. Red, a.k.a. the Poker King, Rays. Barring that, he suspected assaults and other mischief related to debt collection, like the attackers, like Lance McDowell, the one she called Sausage Fingers, or the other one, who Taylor suspected was Warren Gordon, a.k.a. Broomstick, one of McDowell's known accomplices, and the only one whose description matched the character he'd seen slinking away while his hands were full dealing with Banks and the other two. The simple explanation was two rival lenders fighting over who got paid first by their golden goose. He'd continued his search after his shift ended, and other than the fact that she had a driver's license, he couldn't find anything. No arrests, no convictions, no warrants, no complaints. Not even a residential address. Just a P.O. box. Jessica Banks wasn't even registered to vote. As suspicious as the first problem seemed, a woman, or a man, who could take out two thugs and act like it was nothing, should have some kind of record, or, at the least, a military background. The second problem was, in his eyes, even worse. His fascination with Jessica Banks had prompted his current stalkerish behavior, and a desire to know everything about her, where she grew up, what books she liked, what she did when she wasn't beating up collection agents for loan sharks. He wasn't motivated by the need to arrest her or see justice done. He wanted to hold her hand and walk with her in the moonlight. That last thought brought him back to reality. Cops weren't supposed to date people involved in the kind of shady shit she had to be mixed up in. Normal people didn't beat up 300-pound thugs for dessert, not to mention twist people's arms into pretzels. Taylor couldn't even think about the way that guy's arm dangled at the wrong angle without getting nauseous. A vision of the paramedic swabbing Banks's flat stomach with disinfectant popped into his head. She'd been calm in spite of having just been stabbed and being checked for other injuries. She'd been completely unself-conscious when the paramedic had lifted her shirt, exposing all those scars. She'd obviously been stabbed before, maybe shot, too. He'd only gotten a quick look before he noticed her watching him and looked away. Anyone with that many scars, one was even fairly new, and enough muscles to fill a prison yard, didn't get that way playing tennis. The woman was obviously trouble. She had to weigh at least 180 and moved like she knew how to use every ounce of it, and definitely not relationship material. Especially for a cop. Taylor couldn't believe he was still thinking about her. And why not go to the hospital? That was some hinky shit. When he wasn't thinking about her body and her amazing self-possession, he thought about her eyes. At once drawn into their dark depths and terrified by the deep pain and capacity for violence he saw there. She reminded him of guys he knew who'd been deployed in the Middle East but wouldn't talk about it. Where had she gotten all that life experience? She had to be the most frustrating woman he'd ever met. Taylor slapped his laptop closed and pushed back from the breakfast bar, running both hands over his short hair as he paced in a circle around his living room. How was he so infatuated with someone he'd only talked to for a few minutes, and who he was sure was lying about, at the very least, the way the fight went down, and probably, about a lot more, like who she really was. Yet he couldn't stop imagining himself in Ray's place, walking out of that restaurant with his arm around Jessica Banks and protecting her from Gordon and McDowell. He snorted at the thought of her needing his protection,